Shelly, can you hear me? Thank you. Always saving my butt. I'm glad I can make you laugh.
You see where you can hit mute all over on the down the bottom?
I think I do. Invite. I was trying to pull up an image. Start recording, stop recording. Is it under participants?
Yeah,
No.
maybe.
Manage participants, maybe. Mute all. Okay.
There you go.
We got one more minute. Okay. Thanks, Shelly. All right, it's 8:30 and I was planning on using my computer for my notes. And then I thought, well, maybe I should go live on my computer because I don't know if I can save the Zoom to my phone. But good thing about Evernote is all your notes on your computer move to your phone. So love Evernote. So I'm gonna pull up my notes now, and I'm excited about my training, but I titled my training Hodgepodge because it is just a hodgepodge of different things. And so there's no like fluent flow of anything. It's just some things that I'm like, well, this is what I feel like I keep hearing a lot of people needing help with in my organization, or just things that I know like I've walked through that I've had to work on, because I always feel like it's easier to train on something that you're working on or something that you've had to work through versus trying to just come up with something that sounds beautiful. And so I take lots of notes from other people's trainings, and it's easy to just like pull up somebody else's training, but I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just like kind of dive in a little bit to where I'm at and the things that I'm working on and some of the things that have been helpful for me in my business and just the journey that I'm on. And so I was thinking about like, where am I at in my growth journey with Arbonne? And one of the things that I'm truly identifying, which is kind of fun. So first of all, we're a people business, right? And being in a people business can be challenging because you're dealing with all different types of people. And some of us are great when we're with our type of person, but when we start getting into types of people that we don't connect with very easily, then that's when we're like, I don't know, I don't even know how to deal with this type of a person. And so that has probably been one of my biggest like struggles in my Arbonne business, because I'm an extrovert with people I know and people I feel comfortable with. But if I'm in a setting where I feel like, whoa, that person is a powerful person, I am very quick to pull back and just let myself just stay in the background because I don't like conflict. And whenever I first started my Arbonne business, I just remember like going in homes and doing presentations, which I dropped out of Bible college because of public speaking. And it's funny because like people who know me, they're like, oh, she's so outgoing and so friendly and blah, blah, blah. But in a comfortable setting, when I got put in a setting where I don't know a whole lot of people, I definitely tended to more naturally shy away. And so a lot of times, like I would go to an Arbonne presentation and I was really more worried about what people would think about me. And, sorry, okay. I was really more worried about what people would think about me instead of being the person that put myself out there to ask questions. And so one of the skills that I had to learn really early in my business, and you guys, I know I say it like probably 100 times every time I train, but the thing that I'm so grateful about this business is just the fact that it's taught me how to grow myself, and it's taught me how to say, okay, well, this is something that I'm not good at. And instead of staying in that, I'm just so bad at this, I'm just so bad at this, it's like, well, what am I going to do about it? You can get good at it because anything's a skill and you can fix it. And so I love that. I mean, obviously there's some things that people have that they can't fix, you know, and I look at people in Sierra Leone, and I'm very grateful for my upbringing because I look at people there and yeah, they don't have the opportunities to fix things the way we have. And so I really feel like in our case, if you live in America or in any of the places that Arbonne is sold, there's no reason for us not to just figure out like, okay, well, this is an obstacle, but that's not the end of my business. This is just a hurdle that I have to figure out how to overcome. And so I think that's just a great mindset to come into anytime, no matter what place you are in your business, because no matter what level you are, there's going to be seasons where you feel stuck, and there's going to be skills that you feel stuck in. And so like, I really remember literally preparing, like, what kind of questions can I ask people? And I had to literally start focusing on how to ask questions. And I would have pre-prepared questions like, oh, tell me a little bit about you. Like, where do you work? What do you do? And I found that once I stopped worrying about me, then I had them talking the whole time and I didn't have to worry about me having to say anything because I was just asking them so many questions. And now, like, it's become a skill that I can walk into a random elevator, I can be at the store, and I can talk to random strangers all the time because I've created a habit out of it. And so something that I struggled with and would have never done before is now something I do all the time. And my husband's like, come on, you don't got to talk to everybody. We got to go. I'm like, but look at, I just made a good friend. And so it's a skill and it can be developed. But one of the things that I've learned that I'm learning right now is, and I've kind of been on this journey for like almost a year now, but the whole Enneagram journey, is anyone else? I know we just did this at our retreat and it's so fun to me. I love that we're always growing and we're always learning. And so this is one of the things that I'm really like dissecting right now. So I finally did the paid version. So I did like a free little test and it came out that I was like a 3 and a 2. And then I did another free test, and then it came out that I was a 2 and a 3. It like flipped me. And then I did another test, and it said I was I can't remember. But it's made me everything except for what I thought I was. And I'm like, I could see parts of me in the other ones. But when I read the book, I was like, oh, I'm a 7. I could see it all over me. It's not something I should probably be too proud of. I'm the enthusiast. But one of the things about enthusiasts is they love to start new things. They're always excited about the new adventure. They're always excited about the new thing they're learning. They're always excited about, like, you know, like I have 12 books going at the same time because I can't get them all in at the same time. Like, give them all to me right now. I want all. And so I'll start one and it's really hard for me to finish something. And so, and I've known this about me before I knew I was a 7. I just didn't know how to, I just knew, I'm like, oh man, it's hard for me to finish something. It's hard for me to stay focused to even read the book, much less finish the book. And so like I would have to set timers for myself. So these are things that I've had to learn along the way. And now I'm learning like, oh, this is just my natural bent. But I didn't just accept it and say, well, I'm a distracted reader and I can't read. I remember saying like, okay, you can read 2 pages a day. And that's why like I not only read the book, but I will also listen to the audio because I'm a little bit more of an audible learner. But even when I listen to it, they say when you listen to something, you only get 20% of what you hear. So that's why you have to listen to it like 7 times for you to really grasp it. And so I've had to do a little bit more work to get what someone else could get in like one setting. And to them, they might think like, oh my gosh, like just suck it up and read it, you know? And my husband is very much so that way. He reads it, he gets it. And he's very thorough. Like, I will start cleaning the laundry room, and then I will end up taking something from the laundry room to the bedroom. And then I'm like, oh, I should make the bed. And then before I know it, I've cleaned a little bit in every room of the house, but the whole house is still a disaster. And so I've had to like train my brain to say inch by inch, it's a cinch, and like stay in this room. And, you know, you can, you know, whatever. So like, you're not allowed to leave this room until you're done with this room. And then like, I even have to break that down. Okay, we're only going to clean this part of the counter, and we're not allowed to move on until this part of the counter is cleaned off. And it makes it so much easier for me because I've learned that I can tend to quickly be distracted by pretty things. And I can waste a lot of time. So time management has been something that I've had to really, really, really work on. And so, and indecision. So there's all these things, but there's also great qualities about my type. And so I'm looking at the great qualities, because sometimes we can just hone in on all the things that are not good about our type. And is that my phone? No. You guys see that? That's the distraction in me. What's happening? But anyway, let me see if I can
think about it.
Manage this again.
Okay, I made that.
Okay, sorry about that. So one of the things that I'm realizing is in relationship, it is so important to know who we are so that we can learn how to be the best version of ourselves. And so that we can learn how to relate to other people, and we can learn like how in relationships. So like my husband is an 8. And so there's a lot of things that I do that just frustrate him to pieces because he's so opposite of me. Like, I'm the lowest as you can go on the 8. And so now that I know there's things that I do that make him crazy, and there's things that he does that make me crazy, we can learn to be a little bit more compatible with each other. And so who are we? And remembering that we are in a people business. And so this is something that I feel like is going to be a great game changer in our business, is learning like how to focus on our strengths instead of just constantly focusing on our weaknesses. Where do we thrive the most? Like, one of the things for me is like, it says you're good at storytelling. And it's so funny because I'm like, I love to tell stories, and I can take like this crazy little simple story and make it this amazing story. And my kids are always asking me, Mom, tell us another Africa story. Tell us a story about whenever you were 9 years old in Africa. Tell us a story when you were 7 years old in Africa. And so finding your strengths and being like, oh yeah, I am good at that. And being able to be confident in some of the things that you are good at. But I think at the end of the day, working to be our best version of ourselves. So if you haven't taken the Enneagram test, I really highly suggest that you do the $12 one. It's at the Enneagram Institute. And it's a $12 test, because I think you'll be blown away. And it's not something you're going to sit and learn. Like, I still have so much to learn, because I just recently did the paid test, and it came out with who I was. And there's lots and lots of things to learn. But I think it's just a fun thing, and I think everyone should do it. And then I think you need to send your results to your upline so they can know who you are, and they can know how to best work with you. And I think it's a fun thing also to have people on your team, especially your leaders, as they start coming up, to say, well, what personality style are you? So you can understand how maybe some of your little quirks can be really annoying to them. So you can work to be the best version of yourself. But the one good thing I love about my personality style is that I often see the glass full instead of empty. And I see the good, and I see the, like, makes me want to cry thinking about it, because I'm so grateful for everything we have. And I don't see that, oh, we're never going to succeed. Like, I see there's so much potential. I just got to figure out how to hone myself in so I can make this happen, because I know I can. And so, and because I believe that, I can paint that vision for other people to believe that in themselves as well. So figure out the good in you and then hone in on that. So let me look here. The other thing I was just going to say is that we are the sum of our habits. And so if our habits are not good quality habits, then our habits are going to lead us to a place that we don't really want to go. And you guys, habits are so big. I have read so many books on this, because my natural tendency is to be spontaneous and fly by the seat of my pants and change things all the time. That's my natural tendency. But I will tell you, that is not okay for me, because if I don't have good habits that are going to take me to where I want to be, my fly by the seat of my pants great intentions aren't going to get me there. And so I've had to learn how to create habits. And you guys, it has not come easy for me, but I will start over and I will start over and I will start over, and it gets a little better and a little better. And I look at the progress I've made, and I have a sign in my kitchen. It says it's progress, not perfection, because sometimes I want to get mad at myself because I haven't perfected it yet. But it's not about perfection. It's about progress. And I remember reading the book by, oh goodness, what's her name? Lisa Turker's The Best Yes, because I'm a yes person. I want to say yes to everything. And then there's not enough of me to do everything that I want to say yes to. And so what happens is then I'm sucked dry, and I don't do my best at anything because I've stretched myself too thin. And so remembering your boundaries and stuff, but The Best Yes, she talked about imperfect progress. And so she's like, that's what you need to strive for, is imperfect progress. And that was like my mantra for a whole year, is imperfect progress, imperfect progress. It's not about perfection, it's imperfect progress. And she said, when you make a mistake or you fall back down or you like get off your bandwagon, instead of sitting and beating yourself up like, I failed again, or I'm such a, because that's what we want to do. We want to beat ourselves up. I'll never learn this habit. We want to just like go to failure mode. And so she said, instead of beating yourself up, like, what does that serve? That serves nothing. So instead of saying like, I'll never get a full calendar or like whatever, instead of saying that, say, what's the next best thing I can do for my business? Because what I would do is like, sometimes like I would be really intentional about filling my calendar, but then I would slack off on my hostess coaching or my follow-up, and then I would end up back at 0. And I'm like, I'm so sick of being at 0 because I worked really hard, got really focused, and then I like slacked up and got excited about the full calendar, but I never like kept doing what I did, and I would want to beat myself up. And so instead of beating yourself up, then telling yourself, what's the next best thing I can do? So identify the feeling, but then instantly go into what's the next best thing I can do to build my business, because sabotaging yourself is never going to move you forward. That was free. It's not in my notes. Hodgepodge. Okay. So we are the sum of our habits. And you guys, this is a crazy statistic, because I've always heard, it takes 21 days to build a habit. But technically, I've gone through this book called the 21-Day Brain Detox. And it is 21 days, but really to get a habit like internalized, it's 3 cycles of 21 days. So it's really 63 days of consistency. So if exercise is something you're wanting to build into your daily life, it just takes 7 minutes of exercise every day. So it doesn't have to be a whole lot. Start somewhere. And so that's where it doesn't take a whole lot of time to build a good habit. But if you can focus on something for 7 minutes a day, you can change the way your pattern of your brain goes naturally to going the other direction. And I talked a little bit about this on our little training that we did for the 1-day thing about the way you train your brain. So 21-Day Brain Detox talks about 63 days to create a great habit. And you guys, the 21-Day Brain Detox, she has a YouTube, I can post it for the MVPs if they want to post it, but she has a YouTube deal that she did. She actually did it at a church because she like comes in and like speaks to big congregations and stuff. But she went in and there's like a 5-part series. If you just search Caroline Leaf, she has a 5-part YouTube series, video series that she did. And it was so eye-opening because she brings up trees and she does these things to show you like how your brain works and all this stuff. And it's so crazy how our brain works, but we can actually do plastic surgery to our own brains to train our brains to think the way we want it to think. And so, basically we're the sum of our habits, and the things that we choose to learn how to do. I mean, basically our choices are, who we are is a choice by the choices that we make. So we can learn anything. It may not come natural, but if it needs to be done, then figure it out. And like for me, like I've had to learn how to set timers like crazy, and just whatever I've needed to do to keep myself focused on the things that are the most important. And you guys, it's still, I talk about this stuff and it's still not perfected. It's one of those things I'm constantly going back to. So I don't want to act like I have arrived, I have me figured out, because I have not. But I'm a work in progress, right? It's progress, not perfection. I'm going to be working on it till the day I die. So if I was perfected, then I would be in heaven. Okay, so this is just something else I wrote. People are so important. And because we are in a people business, I was just listening to the Rachel Hollis podcast, the one where she interviewed John Maxwell on his Leader Shifts book. And it was so good. And the one thing that he talked about, and it wasn't really in context with like our business, but I feel like it's very applicable because we are a people business and people are so important. But because we are a people business, we sometimes get our feelings hurt by people and we put ourselves out there, and sometimes there's rejection and sometimes there's this like cold. And what happens is our hearts can slowly become a little bit calloused. And when we get calloused, then we're at a place where we can't really love people deeply. And the one thing he said was just to make sure that we keep a tender heart and that our heart remains tender towards people. And to remember that each person, you know, even when people are nasty to us, like there's still something we can learn from those people. And so just remembering, like, I always try to tell myself a story that serves me and that serves the other person. And so even if someone is horribly nasty to me in the moment, like you want to be like, why are you acting that way? You know, like you want to think these things. But at the end of the day, I'll tell myself a story like, I don't know what kind of a day that person had. And if someone is really that nasty, like what kind of a life have they had to live through to be that kind of a person? Or like if someone doesn't return my message and I know they read it on Facebook, then, you know, we could just say, man, I can't believe people are so rude and they just ignore. Like we just instantly want to tell ourselves this story. Like, I can't believe they're ignoring me. But instead shift that story and tell yourself a story of like, you know what, like I know exactly how easy it is to like see something and then get distracted. There's no way they're ignoring me because who would avoid me, right? And even if they do totally avoid you and you know they're avoiding you, still tell yourself a good story. Like, I don't know what's going on in their life. And if they're so overwhelmed that they don't have the time to just respond to this, I'm just going to say a quick prayer for them. And you know what? Sometimes they'll come back around. And sometimes like I'll shoot them an extra message and just say like, hey, I know how easy it is to see something and then get super busy. And I just wanted to touch back base and see if you had got my previous message and sometimes people didn't, like their kid got on their computer and it made their message look like it was read and then they, you know, whatever. And so sometimes my kids will get on my phone and it'll look like something's read and I didn't remember seeing it. Or sometimes I just get so many that they just get buried down in. And so, but yeah, so I always just think of that scripture, you know, where it says, pray for your enemies and those who despitefully use you and say all manner of evil against you, you know? So I'm like, if someone's being nasty, and sometimes they're not being nasty, they're just avoiding us. And we instantly go into this like, oh, nobody likes me. I can't believe how rude they are. And so we just sabotage with our own minds. And so instead tell yourself a good story about the person and that serves you. Because no one would avoid you. You're just too nice for that. And then figure out, you know, like ask yourself if your communication isn't working. Obviously, it's a skill and we need to work on it. But you guys still as national vice presidents, we get ignored. And it doesn't matter who you are. You're going to have skills that you still need to keep working on. But I guess all of that to say, just keep a soft heart and tell yourself a good story about people because this is a people business. And you guys, people are so precious. I always try to think of it this way. Like, how would I want so I'll just tell the story. We had someone live with us for a year. It was one of my husband's friends, and he was such a big slob, and he was walking through a really hard time in his life. He was walking through a divorce, and he needed a place to stay, and so he was in a dark place, but all I could see was he fries up and messes up the whole kitchen and then just leaves his mess, and he's living here for free. It's like I have another child, you know, like losing my stuff. And so instead of telling, like, I remember one day I was doing my morning devotion and I remember God telling me, how would you want someone to treat your kid if they were in the same situation? Like, how much more grace would you want them to have? And I literally put my little baby in his place. And I thought, oh, I'd want him to have so much grace on my baby and be like, I'll clean your dishes. You know, I know you're going. And he was in a depressed funk. He was losing everything and he was fighting so hard. And so we obviously did work through some things, but I had to apologize to him. I'm like, I'm sorry, I've been very rude. And I know that that's come across. But at the end of the day, try to see people the way you would want others to see you or how you would want someone else to treat your child. I know, like, even when we adopted our little girls, it was so different because, when you have your baby, you get to hold them and love them from the time they're little. And we got 2 little munchkins placed into our lives that had had a lot of hard, and they weren't little babies to love and cuddle. They were strong fighters who were ready to fight the world. And I had to learn to love them. And I remember the same picture came back to my mind. How would I want someone to treat, makes me cry. How would I want someone to treat my babies if something happened to us and my babies got stuck in some random home of another person? Like, how would I want my babies to be treated? And golly, it shifted everything I did in parenting those girls because I got to hold them a little closer and just love them the way I would want somebody to love my babies. Because how terrifying is that, to get put into another home? You don't know what your future looks like. You're scared out of your mind. They have all these temper issues. And I got to see it just a little bit differently because I shifted the way, because at first I was getting like, oh my gosh, like I was so sick of the tantrums. I was so sick of the constant defiance, and that's all I could see. And then my heart shifted one day, and I had this massive shift of how would you want your kids to be seen? And what have they been through? And so mercy and keeping a tender heart. I hope this is helpful. I know this is a little bit different of a hodgepodge training. So guard your heart and guard your mindset. That's the next thing. Wasn't planning on crying, but guard your mindset. So this is the next thing. Guard your heart, guard your mindset. We think about 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts a day. So on average, this is the craziest statistic I've ever heard. I just heard this the other day and I'm like, what? So what's funny is we think about 98% of the same thoughts that we thought the day before. So we just keep recirculating the same thoughts. However, 80% of our thoughts are mostly negative. Isn't that crazy? And so if we're thinking the same thoughts over and over and over, and they're mostly negative, then we are literally programming our brains to be a negative factory of self-destruction. And so, but what's crazier is our thoughts are a choice. And that's exciting because we can choose to switch our brains on and be very mindful of what we're thinking about, and choose to fight a good fight. So think about what you're thinking about. So what are you saying / thinking most of the time? So are you saying and thinking things like, my business sucks, nobody wants to join my business, when is it going to change? I've been doing the same thing and no one, like whatever. Or like, I don't know if I can handle this very much longer. I'm so exhausted. I'm tired all the time. Like we say these things to ourselves. I say it like just today, I caught myself, but the more mindful you get of your thoughts, like today I was like, oh, I'm so tired. I wasn't even that tired, but I just said it. And I'm like, I'm not tired. I just like instantly switched it. And I'm like, I'm alive, I'm awake, and I feel great. And then there's another one, they're called like morning shower affirmations that I had a long time ago. And the other one is, I feel good, I feel fine, I feel this way all the time. So I like say those things in the morning because I'm not a morning person. So I wake up, I'm like, I feel good, I feel fine, I feel this way all the time. Just brainwash yourself. And so, but be mindful of what you're saying to yourself. And if what you're saying to yourself is not what you want, then stop saying it to yourself. If you don't want to be tired, then stop saying I'm tired. If you don't want to have a business that no one is joining, then don't say no one's joining my business. If you don't want a business that sucks, then don't say my business sucks. If you can't find a business builder, so this is what most of the time, what's wrong with you or your business is what you're thinking is wrong with you or your business. I'm gonna say that again. So most of the time, what is wrong with you or your business is what you're thinking is wrong with you and your business. Because we can think ourselves smart, we can think ourselves into activity, or we can think ourselves into the pits. And so words to live by has been, last year my word was transformation. And there was an amazing podcast that I listened to, and it was called Words to Live By. You can go and Google search it or YouTube search it. I think just Google search it. Words to Live by Craig Groeschel. And Craig Groeschel is CraigGrosch. I'm going to botch it up, but something like that. EL. Craig Groeschel. I was homeschooled in Africa. Yeah, thanks, Carlita. I just saw that pop up. So Craig Groeschel, Words to Live By. And he says, what negative thoughts are dominating your thinking? That's the first thing you're going to identify. What are the negative thoughts that are dominating my thinking? And then the second thing is, what truth will demolish that stronghold? And so you're going to basically replace those negative thoughts with truth. And I remember I wrote out a goal card for myself, and I started just saying that over and over and over. And they say it like 25 times a day. So have alarms that go off. I had little alarms that would go off, but I also then just got it memorized. And I would just say it to myself, and I had it memorized where I could just blurt it out loud. Anytime a negative thought would come into my mind, I would just start saying my goal card. And then I started saying other things. So as soon as I would hear the negative thought, like just like, I'm so tired, I'm alive, I'm awake, and I feel great. So just tell yourself something different, like, why won't they get back with me? Then just be like, oh my gosh, they're so busy. I know they're going to get back with me. Like, tell yourself a story that serves you, but demolish the strongholds. One of the things that I tell myself is I finish what I start. I'm a finisher, because I used to be like, I never finish anything. I start all these things, I never finish. No, I finish what I start. I'm a finisher. I never give up. I will fight until it's finished. I will never give up. One of the things I say to myself, I will act justly, I will love mercy, and I will walk humbly with my God. And so just like, what are the things that you're saying to yourself that are feeding life instead of feeding death? Because I really feel like 80% of our problem in our Arbonne business is our negative thinking. 80% of our problems in life are because of the negative things that we're feeding, and what you feed will grow. So be in solution mindset. What can I do about it? Instead of where it's at. So if you think like my business isn't growing, instead of focusing on my business isn't growing, you can focus on, okay, what am I doing to grow my business? What are the things I can do? What can I control to grow my business? And one of the things we can control is meeting new people, because there's a lot of new people in this world. And I know a lot of people, including myself, and I'm at 9 o'clock. No, I'm almost done. But what are the things that we can do to meet new people? Because there's new people everywhere. And I've been doing this for 14 years now. So there's been multiple times I felt like I don't have anybody else. Like, I don't know who else to reach out to. And so there are so many ways to meet new people. And so be in solution mindset of what can I do to meet people? And one of the things I do all the time is I recreate a new contact list. And so not just going through your contacts, but going through, and I was trying to pull this up, but going through your contacts, your circles of life. And like, this is just my little circles of life thing, and I can send it to everybody, but I just created a little circle chart thing that's like, okay, so who are my neighbors? Who are my former neighbors? Who were my parents' neighbors back in the day? So just think neighbors, 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 neighbors everywhere. And then who are my friends? And then make a list of your friends. And then you're going to do the same thing. So who are my friends' friends? Like, so then after you make a list of your friends, and you're going to go back through, well, who's Rachel's friends? And as soon as I said, well, who's Rachel's friend? She's one of my best friends. I just saw her whole entire neighborhood and all the people that came to her kids' birthday parties. So I'm like, there's Courtney, there's Ella. So all her friends just opened up to me. Who are my husband's friends? They all have spouses. Who are, so going through that. And then who are my coworkers? Like, who have I worked with? Not who am I working with now, who have I worked with in the past? Who did I go to school with? High school, college. And then you go back through and say, well, who do those people from college work with? Who do they know? So you can go back through each person and ask the same questions with the same circles. Where do they go to church? Where do they, whatever. So everybody is connected to so many other people. And as soon as you say those names, like, people will pop up in your minds. Like, I remember when I went through my family, I made my family list. And then I went back through like my sister-in-law, and I'm like, Jennifer, who does Jennifer know? That's my husband's sister. And I'm like, who does Jennifer know? And as soon as I said, who does Jennifer know? I was like, oh, she's a nanny. So who does she work with? She's a nanny. And she has connections to all these nanny people that I don't know, but I can do play dates with them. So I did play dates with them. And then I called some of the nannies or the people that she nannied for. And I was just like, hey, I'm Jennifer's sister-in-law and I'm looking to meet some new people. And I was going to see if I could come over and share a little bit of healthy living with you. And this was like back in the day. But, and she hosted a presentation for me in a whole new network of people. We have not because we ask not. And sometimes we get so stuck thinking like, this is all I know. And we just have to think outside of just who we know.
Oh, ow.
People.
Why was
And
that open?
sorry. And who do we know that knows other people? So go through that. Who do you know from work? Who do you know that you do business with? Who do you know from extracurricular activities like volunteering, whatever? Who do you know from your kids? Who do you know from church? You can go through all the churches, and then you go through and you ask these same questions of like, who does this person know? Who is this person's friends? Who's this person?
You left that open. I just cracked my head on the corner of it.
Who's this person's everything? Sorry. I'm so ADD. Okay. So that's just a great way, and I'll post that little circle thing. But if you feel like you're out of people, just go and do that exercise and your list will just grow massively. But don't think you're out of people. Instead, know there's people everywhere. Another thing I did back in the day, I went and actually signed up for a Bible study. My kids were little. I felt like I was in the house all the time. My kids weren't in school yet. I didn't feel like I had a huge network. I was at the house all the time. And all my family lives in Ohio, so I didn't have a huge network. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go join something. So I went and joined a Bible study at a church, put my kids in childcare, gave me some time away from my kids. And I went and joined this small group Bible study at another random church like CBS. And those are everywhere. It's like Christian Bible Study or CBS, Christian Bible Studies, something. Anyway, something like that. And I met all these new people, and it was such a healthy environment for me. And I actually ended up not even sponsoring or talking to any of them about the business, because when I just put myself out there, like all these doors started opening up for me and I didn't even need to. But it was crazy how there's people out there. You just have to figure out how to get with people. And now with social media, you can like meet people online and become best friends. It happens all the time. I haven't done it yet, but it happens. So figure out a way to get to the people, and don't let yourself think with a scarcity mindset. So that is, again, mindset. Like if you're thinking with a mediocre, like, I don't know, it's scarcity. You guys think with abundance. There are lots of people. I just got to figure out how to get to them. Abundance mindset is what will change your life. And we are not meant to live with scarcity. And if you find yourself feeling like, oh, there's nothing to do, that's scarcity. And just get yourself out of there and think, no, there's a lot of people. If you're like, I don't know if I'll succeed, you guys put a picture up of 25 Mercedes-Benz in your dream board and say, if all these people can figure it out, by golly, I can figure it out too. You're a smart person. God made you smart. He made your brain smart, and you can figure it out too. So make sure you're telling yourself good things. So expand your contact list. And the very last thing I just wanted to say is that just to remember that every single person on this call is a VP. We are vision painters. And if you really want to be a VP, you have to be a VP before you're a VP. And a VP, before you start carrying the title, which I feel like title is nothing, but we have to be able to paint a vision for other people of how this business can make a difference for them. And the only way we're going to do that is, again, by listening to people and asking questions and connecting with people, and then seeing not what we can offer them, but what can Arbonne offer them. And you guys, what Arbonne can offer them is huge. And so sometimes, I think it was Carlita that was saying this at this retreat we just came back, we give people our story. Like, I can only give them this. And I remember in the beginning, I struggled with sponsoring because I was feeling like I'm giving them me. And I'm not giving them me. I'm giving them Arbonne. And I remember I held up Carlita's story, and I would say exactly what this lady did. So I'm showing the system. We have a system. This lady proved that it works. So find your uplines EOA and hold it up and say exactly what she did is what I'm doing. And you guys, what she did was shared Arbonne with 40 faces. And she did it a little faster, so she probably shared it with 80 faces. But you hold up their story and say exactly what this person did, the same system is what I'm doing. And I know this can be something that can be a fit for you. People want to know that you believe in them. You guys, the majority of people who are successful today in Arbonne are successful because somebody believed in them. And I remember like being on a conference call with Carlita, and she would say things to me like, oh, you're so, I don't even know. I remember one time I went to an event, And she called me up and said, Sheri, will you come talk about this? You're really good at doing this. And I remember I was like, I am? I didn't know I was good at doing that. But it's like your kids, when you call out their strengths, they will rise to that level. And it's such a fun thing to do. And obviously you don't want to be fake. If you don't see those strengths in someone, obviously don't call it out, but look for the qualities and the good things in people, and look for what you see in them and how you see their life looking in 5 years, if they will say yes and embrace change and embrace a lifestyle of amazing freedom that Arbonne can offer them. And know that you have everything that it takes to help them get successful, because you're attached to a system that will help you teach them how to get successful. And so, first of all, vision paint for yourself. See yourself wherever you want to be. And then know that you have everything that it takes to be able to be that vision painter for everybody else. And every person on this call, you guys, you're a VP. And, but you've got to act as if though you're a VP before you get that pay title. And so everyone is that person. Sometimes we just get a little insecure, or we get a little bit scared. But if we will take the focus off of ourselves and just shift it outward and realize that we have been given a gift to change the world, like, amazing things will happen. So I'm going to end with this joke. So this is totally not even anything to do with my training. I guess it's kind of is. So there's this husband and wife, and the husband told his wife, he's kind of like a jerk. And this is kind of about positive mindset. So the husband told his wife, he's like, I don't know how you could be so beautiful and so stupid at the same time. And she goes, well, I'll tell you why. God made me beautiful so you'd fall in love with me. And he made me stupid so I'd fall in love with you. I thought that was the funniest joke ever. I heard it on a marriage podcast, and I thought, well, I guess it kind of goes. But you got to take things lighthearted. When someone says something mean to you, just look for the positive in all of it. And I thought it'd be good to end with something lighthearted. So, all right, sorry I went over. Oh my goodness, I didn't record. Well, I might go back and record it.
It's automatically recording.
Oh, praise God. Okay, thank you.
Thank Val Makowitz for that one. She sent my computer to do that, and it saves us. So.
Okay, good. Thank you.
You're welcome, honey. Love you.
Love you too. You guys have a good night.